Now, see that, Sarah? I got it recording. If I'm talking, Sarah, can you be the backup to let people in? TJ, your mic's not on. Okay. Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us again. We are here at PPO Means Business, the second to the last event of the day. I think it's been a fabulous 2 days. We will be sending out some kind of form for you to comment on each of the programs that you watched, and we'll give you a way.
Welcome to Pickerington.
Yeah, welcome to the village, right? Between the sirens and the motorcycles, there's a custom motorcycle shop right around the corner now. Lucky me. Anyway, so we'll be sending out a thing for you to give us some feedback on how we did and how this event went and how we could make it better as well. So we'll be looking for that in your emails. Today we have 4 fabulous Ohio photographers here. I'm going to let them introduce themselves and just let us know what they've been doing so far. The way I want today to go is we will have a chat session. Christy, yep, your mic won't come on because it's supposed to be off. I'm going to have you chat questions. Depending on how many people we have, and maybe we can just turn on mics only, but for right now, we're going to just do it by questions there, and I'll read the questions as we go and make sure we can understand them. I can turn your mics on if I need to. Ask us anything about anything. The thought of the theme was how we're dealing with 2020 and the events of 2020 from the protesting to the COVID to the election to how we're dealing with all of those things. This is completely unprecedented. So that's where that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to start with Sarah and then go around. Sarah, tell us about yourself.
I am Sarah. I am from New Philadelphia, Ohio. My husband and I run a studio full-time together. I've been in business for about 14 years, and we specialize in everything but weddings anymore. I got rid of those pretty quick. Now we do a lot of volume, school, newborns, families, high school seniors. And we were mostly impacted in the beginning of all this with the spring, and all of our set aside time for volume, schools, and sports was just ripped out from under us all at one time. So we've had to build back in the business. And luckily the studio it's been pretty busy still. So I'm not really going to do too much complaining because we are still busy.
David, I can't hear anything, just as a heads up. Okay.
Go ahead, Andrea.
Oh, it's my turn. I didn't know what you were saying. I just knew I couldn't hear you.
Yes, I clicked, someone came in and it changed the order. And when I clicked the mute, I probably muted somebody else. So I apologize.
Okay. I'm Andrea. I run a studio downtown Lebanon, Ohio. It's, if anybody knows where that is. Kind of like Sarah, I'll do anything but a wedding. Absolutely no weddings, but mainly specialize in seniors. So I think we are pretty heavily impacted just from being shut down for 7 weeks like everybody else, but came out of the gate really strong with some of the stuff that I was doing while we were shut down. So felt really good about that. And we're fully back in busy mode like we would have been any other year. So it's been good. Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
All right, I'm Mike Price, Fairfield Photography in the booming metropolis of Pickerington, Ohio. So sometimes I'll look at David and go, this town's not big enough for the two of us. So Pickerington's becoming the hotbed of photography in Central Ohio here. So been in business for about 15 years. Really been transitioning over the years for multiple different types of work. But lately through the pandemic, what I found works for me is I go back onto this, is I've been focusing now more onto the corporate work. Doing corporate headshots, corporate photography for commercial and property interiors, for websites, marketing collateral, do a few real estates, but that doesn't pay as well as when you do it for somebody that they look at it as a valuable artifact. Why corporate photography? What they say is they asked John Dillinger, the famous bank robber from the 1930s, says, why do you rob banks? And Dillinger came back and said, that's where the money is. And that's where I've looked at it from corporate photography here for my work to move into that space, is being able to focus more on the people that have money to spend on that part there.
Good. We'll move into that. We'll
Okay.
talk about that
Yep.
soon.
And then what I've been basically focused on is investing in my company. So making myself better, helping others get better. I pack my bank account now, just in case we have another lockdown coming up in the fall. A number of things like that. And then what I'm not doing is what I call retail photography. I will do seniors if you call and you beg, but I am not trying to beg people to let me do their senior portraits. I mean, having David down the street certainly makes it challenging in that area, but I'm finding for a lot of my customers that with the discretionary money spend, for a lot of folks, they've been having issues about justifying that. And wanting to make that investment with people who have lost jobs. Sometimes both money winners in the house have lost their job. And it's just becoming real challenging to do that or to do event photography. So as much as I like doing all those things, I think I do them well. It's not where I'm finding my revenue stream right now. So
All right, we'll touch on
Yep.
all of those things.
that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm not doing.
TJ, tell us about yourself.
Hi guys, my name is TJ Houston. I am the business development manager here at the Pixel Connection. We're literally in the store. That's not a green screen. So during the pandemic, it kind of retail came to a screeching halt. We were deemed an essential business, but for the safety of our employees and, the safety of customers and so much unknown, we did, stop that, from people from coming in. We put a block there, and, we focused our efforts on kind of showing up every day and doing live streams every day for our customers. Also along that, I am a portrait and wedding photographer. So, a lot of my stuff got pushed until next year, but I'm still shooting some weddings. Have one this Saturday coming up. So, those things are starting to change. And honestly, for me, on both ends, the thing that changed for COVID is really the live streaming piece. And, whether that was through the store doing, live stream consulting, to live streaming weddings, and, being able to get that signal from the wedding, out to the West Coast and out to family is really what I focused a lot of my time on. And at home, I have a home studio. So, my live stream setup's usually a little bit better, but change of plans has me with a light and a laptop. So, you just have to make it work. And that's what, to me, 2020 has been so far, is rolling with the punches and figuring out how to make it work.
How to make it work. That seems to be the key. I know my business, I do seniors primarily. 80% of my annual sales come from doing senior work, and we took a huge hit and be halfway through March. In the first quarter, I was actually still ahead. My first quarter was going so well, even after shutting down for a couple of weeks in March. But by the end of the second quarter, I was down $30-some thousand in total sales, close to $40,000. I've got most of that back, but that's it. You gotta keep moving. So did you do anything specifically different this year than you have done in the past as far as marketing? So let's look at that question. I'm gonna jump right back with you, TJ. Did you do anything different?
Yeah, absolutely. So knowing that customers weren't going to be able to get in the store, we realized a lot of photographers were, in fact, staying home. They weren't going out on jobs. So that's when we decided to live stream every day, whether it was bringing people in to speak, whether it was just doing a thing on macro photography that you can do around your house, to on Fridays, every Friday, we have a news show that we talk all about the photography industry. And that was how we stayed in front of customers. weddings. And, those were all free. We didn't charge anything for them because obviously photographers, they weren't working. And B, we wanted to make sure that we were just filling their minds with, ways that they can grow in their business. So, for us, our marketing changed to things like curbside pickup, free shipping. And then on the portrait and wedding side, it was a lot of friends and family that, were going to cancel or they were having their weddings. It was, and even my clients, was consulting with them on live streaming and getting them set up to either live stream on their own with some basic tools or me actually going out and doing that. So just getting the word out that I was able to do that live streaming, that, it could be produced at a, higher quality than just a phone. That's kind of where my efforts and our efforts here at the store really changed.
Sarah, go ahead and answer too.
I was going to say, just for TJ's benefit, and for everybody, this is what TJ taught me how to do here a little while ago from a live stream studio that we have set up inside here. So it was being able to do exactly what he says there, get the word out.
Sarah, did you change anything specifically? What happened when it first started? What are you doing now? Is some of it the same?
Well, one of the struggles for us was, for one, I am a terrible person at social media altogether. I just don't do it enough. I'm not in a good flow with social media presence at all. So that's one of the things that we kind of focused on, because it seemed like that's where people were going to look for information about what was happening now, like in our business, or what we were going to do next, just information, relaying it out there. So as we received information from our schools on things, we would relay that information to the public, which then we started noticing a lot of people coming to our Facebook page for information. So then I did start posting more on social media, which then it's amazing when you post on social media that people actually call you and then they want to book a session. I didn't know it worked that way. No, but so I mean, for us, it was just people look to us for information now on what's going on. So I do feel like when we did start our youth sports back up, and everybody was concerned that people might not want to spend the money because people were hurting a little more financially, we actually noticed that our sales were better. And I think part of that is just communicating with people. And I think that people realized they missed a whole season of something and they didn't like that feeling. So then the excitement of getting back into being able to get portraits again and pictures got people excited. So we've just stayed more in communication with our clients.
Mike, I know you made big changes. Just share some of that.
Sure. And also remind everybody that's in the room there, we have the chat room going here. If you want to feed some questions to us in there that we can have some time to get to organize and get a good answer, take advantage of that, plant some seeds in there for some conversation pieces. So when we come back around, we can make sure we answer your questions.
And they can be to a direct person, or they can be to the group, however you want to do it. And it doesn't have to be this topic. It can be any topic.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Mike.
So, the question was about marketing, stuff like that. And I've never really been a big one to push the social media and the Google marketing, because what I found is that relationship marketing is what works best for me. I don't have any problem picking up a telephone and calling somebody and making them my new best friend. So for when I started to make the pivot into the corporate world, these people don't look for stuff on Facebook. They might Google, but they really want to do stuff with people they know and they trust and they have confidence in that they've met. So I spend a lot of time on the phone doing Zoom calls or doing phone calls or taking customers I had been doing headshots with and asking them what else we could do, which in one case led to, some corporate interior work that has me on the road all over Ohio for the entire month of October. And I'm happy. The best part about the whole project is going to the bank to cash the check. So it is a really good project, but I would not have gotten it had I not been asking them for the business. So a lot of the marketing stuff comes in.
Did you have to relearn how to shoot something? Did you have to change equipment?
Oh, so I asked a client, I said, what else can I be doing for you? I'm a professional photographer. I can shoot just about anything. What do you need done? And I said, well, interior photographer is retiring and we need a new photographer. Do you know anybody that does that? And I said, of course, I do interior photography, no problem. And they go, great, we have a project in 2 weeks we need you for. And I spent 2 weeks acquiring the gear and watching YouTube and got connected with some really good resources and learned how to be a good interior photographer. They loved the first project and it's been taken off ever since. So
That's a great pivot. That's a great shift, and it's a great way to hit the bank. Andrea, what have you done? How did it start off for you?
Well, when everything shut down initially, what I did was I used the Facebook platform, the social media platform, and I ended up hosting a weekly kids photography contest
Wow.
where I gave out assignments on Monday. They had all week to go out and shoot what their assignment was. Then we picked the top 3 and then everybody voted. And then they won a gift card to a local ice cream shop. So
we're talking kids, what age? High school, your senior?
18 and under.
Nice.
Yeah. So I had them in 4 different age categories and that took off like crazy. And I did my first ever Facebook Live because I hate being like in front of the camera. It's so weird. So like that was a disaster because I didn't even know how to stop it or start it.
Right.
But that got shared because everybody thought it was so funny. But that for me was huge because it was a weekly thing. It was a way to keep my business in front of them since I didn't have new content. Because I am a big, like I Instagram almost every day. I post every day, but it's not me. It's just my clients because I wasn't shooting clients. I didn't have that. So I wanted to work something else. So we did that every
That's
week
brilliant.
until I opened up, which was great.
Has it paid off? Have you gotten any of these people to be clients yet?
Yes, it absolutely paid off.
Oh, that's
Which
awesome.
was fantastic. And then I did if they donated $50 to the food bank, I would give them $100.
Nice.
So I was just trying to do things like that. That was more of a community outreach versus like, hey, hire me. So I
Right.
tried to just keep my business out there by like, let's do fun projects or let's do those things. And that paid off really well. So when we opened back up, we were opening up like we never had to close.
Right. Yeah.
Which was great.
I know I still had a bunch of sales from shoots that I did in the spring already, and they switched to Zoom sales. Zoom sales, let's talk about Zoom. Do we love Zoom? But yeah,
Sure.
just shake your head. Yes.
Sure. Any opportunity to get in front of the client.
Right. Zoom wasn't even in my vocabulary 9 months ago, right? I mean, it might have been for you, Mike or TJ, because that's maybe more your thing. For me, it sure wasn't. I know I was in meetings and things like that, but I didn't use it as a customer tool.
Right.
How has that changed your customer relationship? Anybody?
Well, I did use it when people weren't quite ready to come back into the studio, especially just so that they could still see product and stuff because maybe they didn't want to come back in for the IPS. So at least they could see the product a little bit and we could do the sale a little bit. I haven't used it since we've opened back up though. I don't like it.
Right. I have one client that I'm going to because the dad can't wear a mask. So we're going to do a Zoom sale this weekend. But since I've opened, I haven't done any more Zoom sales. I have done a few Zoom consults because I get people that want me to photograph their kids that are 3 or 4 or 5 hours away sometimes. And so we do the Zoom meetings that way still, but I've pretty much turned it off for client communications. Ironically, I made videos of all my products and put them on my website just before this happened. So that made it easier for them to see the stuff I have. Have you used Zoom, Sarah?
I did have to use it one time during the shutdown with a client who did want to do their order. And it's not the same.
Right.
To have somebody in here, and to be able to feel the excitement, you just don't get the excitement as much as you would, I feel like, with a Zoom. But it was a client who had already been with me for years, so it really wasn't that much of a change. She knew everything we offer anyway. But since we have opened back up, I mean, masks and just social distancing and everybody, we do give every client the option though, still. Like if they don't feel comfortable coming in here, then we would figure something out for them. But everybody kind of has felt comfortable, it seems like, to come back to do something like that. So.
Yeah, David, for me, what I'm finding that Zoom works is that I'm not doing IPS that as much like that, because I've only had a handful of seniors and everybody's been comfortable being in person. But what it's opened up is because the corporate people are all doing Zoom or Microsoft Teams or Skype or things themselves, they're all very comfortable doing that. So as I've been connecting in the company, did a sales call 2 weeks ago with a client trying to get some business. They were able to have their marketing person and the publicity person who sits in Columbus with the art director who was in New York, and a couple of the interns that worked for them in Philadelphia. They already were doing that before to do their own team meetings. So just to add me in was an easy thing to do. I didn't have to jump over a bunch of technical issues. And it gave me a chance to really speak to all the decision makers at once, rather than to one person, and then hopefully they conveyed the message back right. So it's been valuable to piggyback on skills that they've already developed and just a normal part of doing their business.
Yeah, and I guess Zoom as like a tool, I would say I wasn't really familiar with it. I had used several other things that are very similar to it. But even for us, it was live stream. So not having people leave and come into a room, more like us getting a message out there, and we were going into those groups. So we were going into local Facebook groups. We were going into, colleges and universities. We were sending our message there. We didn't want anybody to get hung up on any technical limitations. We didn't want a frustration of trying to figure out how to use Zoom. Oh, you're muted. Oh, you're not muted. We wanted a more streamlined process. So we opted we were on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter. When we broadcast, we go to about 12 different platforms. So if we take Zoom away as the way to communicate virtually, for us, live streaming was something that was very beneficial. I mean, we still have customers that come in, and we had a big sale about 2 weeks ago just to kind of test the waters. And, people were like, can you put it online, please? Like, we like watching you online from the comfort of our own home. And, they enjoy that. They look forward to, now we do it Wednesday and Friday. But for us, there was no other option. Like, the store was literally like, we barely turned the lights on during the day because we were doing inventory and we were doing other stuff. But, it was, we needed to talk to our customers. We needed to get out there.
But TJ, do they ever ask what you're wearing? I'm just kidding.
What's that? Oh yeah.
Khakis, right? That's the answer. That's the flat answer anyway.
Hey,
someone asked.
One other thing on the Zoom piece, Dave, if I can jump in.
Yeah.
One other thing too is if you take a look behind me, there is money to be made with Zoom. You think about how many of your clients, from a business standpoint, have really bad Zoom backgrounds. Zoom does that whole virtual background thing. I sell these step and repeat backdrops. It's a digital file with the company logo on them, not my logo for them, but their company logo or whatever logo they want, plus a worksheet on how to do good Zoom calls from a lighting standpoint and a sound standpoint, and sell those to corporate customers. And that way they look better on their Zoom calls, both from the advice we give and having a good branded background, and it opens the door to start the relationship. So there's opportunities to make a couple of bucks even with the Zoom stuff.
Just for you specifically, Mike, a year ago at this time, were you focusing on seniors or volume or banners for the fall sports, or were you?
Yeah, a year ago, my big push was still in the corporate headshot stuff, and
Okay.
I was getting headshot business, but complemented with seniors and families and the banners and things like that.
Was Barry asking you specifically about the corporate headshot world? Has it bounced back at all? Or with many large corporations still working from home, is there a market at all for corporate headshots?
Absolutely. On May 12th was the day that we could open up for the state of Ohio to do business. On May 12th, I did 6 headshots because they were all people that had recently had promoted or gotten new jobs in the company or been hired, and they needed a headshot. And I was their photographer for the company. So they were waiting to the day to be opened. And I've done 30 for one client just in a 2-day session that they had. And I'm getting calls for probably doing 2 to 3 a week right now of walk-ins, not walk-in per se, but people call me for onesie twosies. But I've even started going on location to client sites now and doing volume sessions there.
That's
So
great.
the corporate business is great.
Does anybody else do headshots?
Yeah, and I've done more this since we opened than I normally would do in the whole year.
Right.
Yeah.
Me
I think
too.
even the unemployed people, they want a new headshot for LinkedIn.
Right.
Absolutely.
Dating
It's a great
sites.
business.
I get guys wanting shots for dating sites. I
Yep.
do.
Oh Lord, as a woman on the dating sites, could you help them as much as possible? Good Lord. If you saw what was out there, David.
For me, I found out yesterday that what I was doing, because when I used to do headshots for one of the big insurance companies downtown, and I did the standard headshots, what they always wanted, and then I did a more lifestyle look. This was 3 or 4 years ago, where I shot them in the hallways and shot them at different places using ambient light versus using, the 3-light setup and all of that kind of stuff. And I don't know why motorcyclists have to go vroom, vroom, vroom. Why, if they just went vroom, they would go just as fast. Anyway, I'm sorry. Then I find out, and now, so I offer this to everybody that comes in. I've got a little 2 headshot deal, but bring a couple outfits, we'll do some things. And Terry Fody said, they need 15 headshots now. Push the whole 15 headshot thing, not just 1 or 2. And I found out I was already doing it before I learned from her. So that was kind of cool. And I have had more. TJ, there was a question centered for you. Has sales of equipment suffered? And if so, do you see them recovering?
Yeah, so you can look at the MPD data and know that cameras as a whole are a declining market. As cell phones come out, and we see it a little bit too as photographers, where overall it is declining. Now, it was kind of the opposite effect for us. Our sales down, sure, but it's also different sales. So macro lenses are almost impossible to get. There for a while, live streaming stuff, video, anything with clean HDMI. A different type of creator has come from this. So we're pivoting to focus a little bit more on those video customers. And I don't know if you probably can't see it, but like this area, audio used to be in one of these cabinets up here, very small, like 2 foot by 2 foot. We had just a few microphones. Now it's going on to like 3 or 4 because we have so much audio that we have to have in stock now. And then we're also offering that consulting service. So, we're really pivoting to do more services. There's large companies in this area that are doing conferences, and there's one right across the street, a chiropractic one, and it's like 200 offices are doing their event next Tuesday, and they're doing it out of there. So we've been basically building a studio over there for them, with lighting, with microphones, so they can look professional. So are sales declining? Yeah, hard goods as a whole, the whole industry, we're seeing it. But for us, it's just pivoting on those services and just changing to what the creators need.
So I'm going to ask this next one. What have you done differently this year that is going to become part of your routine? Have you made permanent changes to the way you market based on what's happening this year?
I can tell you from the stuff I've looked at that I've already presented here, but for me, is that I'm moving out of the retail area as a primary area. I'll still do seniors and stuff as a secondary, but in the corporate world and shooting property interiors and expanding into doing actually 360 tours now for those same companies. If we have another pandemic lockdown, whatever, I don't have to check how people are feeling to shoot buildings and shoot inanimate objects. That business will stay going, and I'm focusing on building into that.
You're doing the 360s now?
I am.
Oh, good. Because so when I want to update my studio, I'll call you next time.
Okay, I can make you such a deal.
All right, good. Sarah.
Well, I know just for us, kind of pretty much what I already said, just I valuing the importance of staying connected with the clients. So for me, one of the things that I did work on that I had said was the whole social media aspect. So I definitely don't do as much as Andrea, it seems like, but I just, when I post one, post another, and it just seems like that's what people in my small town area want, and which I probably should have known that to begin with, but I think just working on that, I think, is huge for us. I mean, we did do a lot of like we do a lot of large group families anyway. We do a lot of I don't know why they always call us, but we do a lot of families that are 20 to 30 people, extended families that call and want large family portraits. So but just by staying relevant and out there, I think it did make a difference for us. So I think we're just going to continue that and keep it going.
David, I will say the one other thing that I jumped in and did from a marketing standpoint, or at least a position changing, not marketing, but as far as the changes going forward and things are stick is coming up with a new website. I finally broke down after 10 years, threw away all the old stuff, blew it up, and went to something a little more modern, mobile, responsive, all the things we've been promising ourselves to do with our website. Someday we'll get around to it and we'll do the website. Folks, if you're still saying that, you need to do that. I can't tell you how much that has made a difference for traffic and phone calls and my ability to direct people to that website to be able to focus on the work that I want to do. So the things on my website are the key pieces I want to be focused on going forward that I'm really trying to position to do. Sure, I can do anything. You can ask me for anything off menu, but the stuff I'm pushing is the stuff that's going to be on that website. So if you haven't updated your website, either now or at least the next lockdown, when you're locked in, don't know what to do, update your website.
Don't say the next lockdown. We're not having
No more lockdowns.
no more.
Andrea, did you change anything? That change, permanent change?
I really, no, I don't feel like there's anything that I will permanently change from coming out of this.
Will you do your little photo shoot contest again?
If there's another lockdown, I think, but honestly, I think it was because we were locked down that it was so successful, because kids were looking for something to do. They were bored and it was spring and they wanted to get outside. So, I mean, really, I'll just keep, I don't want to say status quo, but I'm always constantly trying to stay on top of things and tweak things. Every quarter you look at things and tweak. So I will just always do that, but I won't, there was nothing out of this that I learned that I thought, oh, I need to now do that going forward.
I'm probably going to steal the photo contest thing come winter.
Yeah, I mean, because then I did stuff where they could do it inside too when the weather was bad, like shadows and things like that. I mean, it could give them something to do while they're stuck being bored inside.
Yep.
So I guess just there. Oh, one of the things that we kind of were thrown into. We didn't choose to change it, but when the shutdown happened, the whole yard sign thing came huge, and we got so many phone calls for the class of 2020 that wanted yard signs because they've lost so much. But since that hit so big, we've had so many people that had siblings and their parents are like, will you do it for my kid next year? Or will you do it for, so we have had our schools actually now, like when we did fall sports, like our football moms club did it as a fundraiser. They sold all the signs for me, gave me a list of all the people that bought them, and they even went for youth sports, 7th grade, 8th grade, even the underclass people. And it's something that we never sold before. So we instantly had our schools selling signs for us and then them cutting checks back to us for, $1,000, $1,500 for something. So it is something that we'll probably continue to do. They've asked us if they can do it next year for football season, sell it to underclass.
I know that sign thing was a big craze here. I didn't jump into it. I did a couple just for a couple of my senior models, but I didn't offer them to sell because I knew it would take away from my banner business, which is so lucrative. So I'm worried about, the $6 banner that I can order from Signs 365, I sell for $149. So I don't want to take anything to take away from that. And I'm hoping that next spring, we don't have everybody expecting to get something for free again from all their photographer friends or for a low cut price, trying to help out the poor seniors, because the poor photographers need, needs something too, right?
Well, it's a different market. So, my parents were buying the banners, but I was having schools buying the Coroplast signs for students more broadly than purely just seniors. So
Right.
it just became an outlet to complement the banner business. It wasn't an either or.
Yeah. I know I had parents asking, do you do these? Do you do these? And then I just say only for my clients. Because I couldn't get together and photograph them at that point anyway, because of the essential business thing. So, but yes, you're right. There is a way to make it work for both. What was I going to say next?
Well, as you're thinking about that, David, I'll fill time for just a second. The other piece that I made a change is, as the pandemic started, I had actually started a Facebook group for corporate professional photographers, and started building that up through word of mouth. And then and then that is an active group that's just kind of, I don't know, probably has 30 to 50 people on it that we're putting stuff in. But out of that boiled up a group of about 10 photographers across the country who we get together every Friday on Zoom as kind of a premium group here, give to get kind of model for sharing. Have become a really powerful group. That's going to continue on because we have people arranging their work schedule and appointment schedules to make sure they're available at 10 o'clock on Friday mornings for an hour. And it's marketing ideas, it's technique, it's product, it's all kinds of different ways we
You want
share.
to share the bigger group you're in? Do you want to share the one you started?
Yeah, it's if you just Google out there, or not Google, but go to Facebook and search for professional photography in the corporate world. Professional photography in the corporate world. It is a private group, so but anybody here that pings it, if you got any kind of photography stuff related to your profile, we'll let you in. And we're not talking seniors, we're not talking family for it. This is meant to help people get going in the corporate world. It's you sell it differently, you deliver it different, your
Sure.
shooting expectations are different. It's a way to help you really
Can
understand
you
that.
put it in the messages?
Oh, actually, yeah, put it in the chat. Good point.
That
We
would
have a
be
chat
perfect.
window.
I know with all the big, we're missing out on the big events, the sync, like I couldn't do Shutterfest, I couldn't do the one in Iowa, I couldn't do the things where I was speaking, and all of those things just disappearing now for the last 6 months. My small group workshops have really done great. I had to cancel one of them because it was still during the shutdown, but every single one of them sold out except this one coming in October, and that's because it's October. I still think I have 2 spots left on that. So that has been really nice for me, and I love teaching. So that kept my my addiction fed. The Zoom teaching is fun and the Zoom learning is okay, but I am getting to the end of my hunger for it. As far as, oh, he's on today, I got to catch him or make a time for it. It's more like I got to make sure I sign up for it so I can watch it when I want, type of thing. So
But you
that's
bring up a really good point, David, is that, we've lost out on a lot of the face-to-face networking and learning opportunities between the local city
Right.
guilds, the state organizations, the conventions and conferences, Imaging USA, Texas School, all that stuff's pushed off. So our way to be able to grow from a knowledge and a skill standpoint still is going to be through distance learning. And it's opportunities for us to be able to deliver it if we have it, or for us to go find people to take it, to get it from, and still be able to grow.
Sarah, how did you get started in school volume?
Well, I it's kind of a funny story. Let me
You're
just say
losing your
that,
volume. Maybe you're further
What was
from your
that?
mic or something.
oh, is that better? I'm in
Maybe,
close.
I don't know.
Can you
Go
hear me
ahead.
now? Okay. So, Nathan and I had been to imaging for 2 years and was taking every class that we could on volume schools. And the way we got into it is we had asked our schools that we were already doing their sports if they would even consider going with a local business for their school volume, for their school portraits. And all 3 that we asked said yes. So they were pretty, so I said, well, let me let me figure out how to do it, because we had no idea even how to get into the school side of it. We did some classes at imaging, and then Nathan and I had went and shot a wedding in Mexico. And when we got home, there was a voicemail on my machine from one of our superintendents that said, "Hey, we're ready to go next year." We went ahead and told Lifetouch not to come back. Now, that's how I started school portraits. But one of the ways to get into it, because I felt like I never had good advice to give it anybody, because literally it just like we got pushed into it. But we have had a school, one of our school districts that we've had for 11 years now. And we've had 5 of their buildings, their school pictures, but 2 of the buildings, we did not have them. They still use Lifetouch. So it was principal picking instead of the superintendent making that decision. So with that, at the beginning of all this, I kind of went into the brand new superintendent that came in, and I said, I think that you need to make a decision and just go with one company. So you either need to let Nathan and I do your whole district, or I guess let Lifetouch do your whole district. And so we did have to go through a whole interview process, like 3 interviews with a school that already has worked with us for over 10 years. And it was kind of daunting and discouraging. But that was probably the best phone call we got in April, right after the shutdown, is that superintendent called us and said, "Hey, we're going to give you guys everything." So I think just really a lot of schools are looking for that change. And I know that there's only one other school in our county that uses Lifetouch. And they actually never contacted the school about even setting up school pictures this year. So they were kind of they were looking for somebody to come in and do school pictures, because Lifetouch has not, I don't know if they've picked up in any of the buildings or schools where you guys are all from, but here they didn't contact any of our schools to set up picture days. So I don't know if it helped you.
The more I'm hearing is the quality is getting so inconsistent that more and more of the parents that get the products are complaining. And it's not a matter of, price or anything like that. It's just the quality is so inconsistent. And that's what I'm hearing. But that sounds like, I think what it sounds like you said was, since we're such nice people, they liked us and wanted us to do it, which goes a long way, don't you think, Sarah?
Yeah, I think that that helps. And I do know that it means a lot to principals themselves when the same person comes in and sees those children, and then those children, it's structure. And I know we live in an area that there's a lot of divided families and a lot of grandparents that raise the kids. So it goes a long way. We get so many hugs, and kids look forward to seeing us. And I think principals see that. So I think they value that community feel. So really when we go in and talk to anybody, that's what I sell. And I'm honest with them. I said, I'm not a salesperson. I'm a photographer. So I'm not going to go in there, and I've said this in my meetings with superintendents, like, I'm not going to come in here and sell you a whole bunch of stuff and not do it. Like, we all know that's how the other company works, but I don't say that, but I'm honest with them, and I tell them that we do this for the kids. We do it for the community. We do it for the consistency. And I think I think they value that.
Do you bring your raccoons in with you? I'm just kidding. Don't you have?
No, but I either get kicked out, or maybe they would like it. I don't know.
Okay. All right. You mentioned one thing that I miss the most, I think, is hugs. I'm a physical person, and I get to know some of my clients, especially the kids on my model teams. And it's just not, I shake hands. I hug people. I miss that tremendously. And I know that I think it affects all of it with our business. Car rides. I would take clients with me, and we'd go to location, and they would be in my car. And this is a time to get to know them better, to get to find out, their college plans, their family life, sharing stories and all that kind of stuff that builds a relationship that lasts from client to client to client, versus just, I'm doing a photo shoot with this person today, and now, I'm, 2 cars and 2 parking spaces and trying to keep up on the expressway. I'm not easy to keep up with. All of that stuff has changed. I hope not forever, but right now it's still going that way. Other things like that happening with your businesses.
Well, you hit a good thing. Is that, David? It's that it is all about the relationship. We've always, said in the past, we're small business owners that our product is photography. So if the only thing we have to offer is a really good picture and that's it, it's easy for another really good photographer to take our business. But if we have cultivated a relationship and we have really built a brand around who we are and how people connect with us and we with them, then as business needs ebb and flow, they still remember us and they still reach out to us and they still connect with us for the needs at various times, because they liked us. They liked being a part of us. We did good work for them, and it's a reflection on our business.
Right. That's so true.
Well, I know jumping back in there, just because we were in the schools and even in the studio dealing with a lot of younger age children, that connection is valuable. And along with Mike on just keeping that relationship. So, I mean, we give out a lot of elbow bumps right now, and it's amazing. We're coming in there and we're masked up and we're sanitizing, and it's such a difference that these kids are seeing with us, but we're still trying to be energetic and, hey, elbow bump it, you know what I mean? And just to watch them smile, I mean, you could just see the smile in their eyes, even though they're masked up, but you could just tell, like, oh, okay, well, this is still nice. I mean, you just keep that relationship with the kids. I'm sure we feel like being in the school and the volume side of it, that it does, we see it affect them, and we're trying to make it as positive as we can whenever we're around them.
The mask thing, I'm thrilled with the overall compliance, I guess, that people come with their masks on. I mean, they just do. They walk in with their mask on. Even the kids that are getting photographed come in with their mask on. And I think I think it wasn't, you hear the complaints from on all of it, and I hate wearing it, obviously, but it didn't seem to be a thing. And I watch these families, outside with their little kids, and the little kids are all wearing them. And I don't think it was as hard as we thought it would be in some cases. And it doesn't appear to be a problem. Now, the one thing I've not done is photograph someone with a mask on.
I mean,
I
you
don't
wearing
do
a
that.
mask?
What's that?
You mean it's somebody wearing a mask, the subject wearing a mask, or you wearing a
Yes,
mask?
it's never been part of their senior photos, a shot with them with a mask on. I refused. I just refused. I'm not doing it. You can take one with your cell phone if you want. I'm not taking it. That was kind of my thing. But anyhow, does Andrea have a model program?
Andrea does not have a model program. So yeah, David is your king on that one. It's just, I mean, I love what you do, David. It's too much work for me.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's why, honestly, why I work social media as hard as I do, because I don't have a model program. So my seniors come in every year from not me recruiting them early. They come in because they've seen my work on Insta, or they get every kid who comes in, the next day they get a sneak peek. So, I've heard both sides of that.
Right.
For 16 years that I've been doing this. And for 16 years, I've been doing the sneak peek, and they get one the day after. Every kid gets one. Every kid is on my Instagram. It doesn't matter. They all get that moment to be on my Instagram the next day. And I shoot between 80 to 100 seniors every season with no model program.
Yeah, those are the same numbers I'm getting, except 30 of them are senior models.
Yeah.
And I do the same thing. All my photos, all my seniors get on my Instagram.
Yeah.
And all my seniors that aren't senior models get on my Facebook too. Where
Yeah,
my
me
senior
too.
models,
Everything gets put on Facebook and then Insta, because my moms are not on Insta.
correct.
So they're on Facebook. So they all get the same sneak peek. I think that's key. Like you, David, I feel like when you just use your model program, that's the only kids they see. That's not fair.
Right.
They all should get their moment.
Yep. They sure do. Yep. Um, do people in your area, other senior photographers?
Do a model program?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Thomas Wen's in my area.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you
Yeah,
know,
right.
king of the model program.
Right. Yeah.
He's 10 miles away.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his thing is so dynamic. So yeah, the good. And then it just I think good business practices and being a good person and being a good to your clients is going to go a long way, that we don't necessarily need gimmicks. I've always just been afraid to stop. It's nice
Yeah.
to know that I'm going to have at least 30 clients next year because I've already got 30 of them lined up for 2022. You know, that kind of thing. It feels good to me. It's, you know, that little security thing. But yeah,
I
that's
totally get why people do it. It's just,
yes.
I don't know if I'm just too lazy. I don't,
Well, you don't. Yeah, and if you don't have to,
yeah.
I do it for fun. I do it for fun as much as anything. Let's see. Any other questions out there? Keep anything we need to talk about. Who does weddings? Any of us?
Let's go ahead.
TJ
How's the
does.
wedding industry?
So from myself, as well as, you know, just talking to customers as they come in, definitely rebounding. So it's a scramble to find dates that are available for next year. But it's almost every other weekend it has been for me. And I do it very like under the radar, like for friends and family only. But the photographers that do come in that are full time, the one Matthew Brands, I think he did like 3 in one weekend. I mean, he's hitting it hard, and he's also, you know, he's added on video. He's starting to add video on and stuff like that. So diversifying and really just trying to get more out of a small wedding has really been the focus recently. You know, and getting clients to think just because it's a small, you know, 50-person event doesn't mean that it can't still be a big spend, you know, and still trying to get them to spend their normal basket price. There for a while though, I mean, people were freaking out, moving them. There were photographers that were getting sued because they shot them during, and jail time actually, during the shutdown before it became, you know, non-essential, or, you know, since all that changed. But the customers that are shooting weddings, rentals are back up. So people are back to shooting them nonstop.
That's a good. They're doing it differently. I sure see that, and I see the advantages is to making more off less. I know my sales this year for my 2021s have been higher. I am behind in the number, but not that much, and not as much as I am in price. I've had 5 times now people come in for consults. We talk about everything. They're all excited. I have never in my career taken a deposit, and it's never been a real problem. This year, I've had 5 people schedule, and then a week or so or 10 days before the appointment, they say they really just can't afford it. And they change their mind. So some people are spending more, and they're coming to me because I am more expensive and have more stuff, and some people are spending less. So the pricing, you know, the sales have been close to similar, but I've never had 5 people change their mind after they've had the consult, after we've talked about outfits, after we've planned out their shoots, have them cancel before. So one of the things I'm changing for next year is we will take deposits from now on, just to hold them in, even if it's only $100.
And for Ohio, you want to take a retainer, not a deposit.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, yep. But for everyone else who's on the call, in the video call, in Ohio, the difference is that deposits are refundable, retainers are not. So if you use the word retainer consistently through your marketing material, and they decide they don't want to do anything and they go away, if you've always called it a retainer, you don't have to give it back if you don't want to.
So I have a question. Is anybody focused on this, knowing that a whole new generation is coming, and will your studios change for that? I mean, if you didn't do newborns, I mean, they're predicting another baby boom, you know, as we can see here. I mean, that's not a small number. So are you in your businesses, you know, thinking about this, other photographers in your market, you know, is it worth kind of getting ready for it? Because here's the baby boomers here, here's the coronials.
Is that real?
Yeah, it's from UC Berkeley.
Holy cow. I'll be retired by then.
That's
Two of
this
our
year. I
clients-
mean, it's, I mean, yeah, for their senior photos, yes, but I mean,
It
maternity.
is, TJ, two of our clients are doctors. They're OBGYNs here in town and they're clients of ours. And he was planning, like they plan a family vacation at a certain point, which is about the 9-month mark after when all these babies will be born. And he said that they've had to cancel the amount of, he has about 2 to 3 times the amount of deliveries that he had previous. So, I mean, I'm just debating on when to throw that out on social media, you know, like book your newborn session because we know what you've been doing.
Go upstream a little bit more. One of the guys in our Friday video calls a boudoir photographer in Denver, and he's killing it right now. So that business is going great, well as well.
So we're at an hour right now. We're not getting any questions. I would love to answer anything that anybody wanted to ask. We still have everybody hanging on. So,
David, I'll throw on one thing here, just really for an observation for the people on the call for thinking about. You know, and I've challenged people in a couple different forums on this exercise is, you know, that those that don't study history are destined to repeat it. So if with that in mind, if you knew in October of 2019 what you knew now in October of 2020, what would you be doing different in the next week or 2 or 3 going into the cold and flu season of the fall? What would you be doing different for your business, for your family, for yourself? You know, I'm not sure there's a set, you know, answer to that, but certainly from a thought exercise on your part, on everybody's part, is thinking through that. If I had it to do over again, what would I be doing different? And make some notes and do some actions and lay in some plans so that as we go through cold and flu season, if there is issues about how we can do business or how it works and operates, you got a little, you know, a few little things in your back pocket that help keep you, you know, getting through the winter.
how many of us just in that line, how many of you took advantage of some of the money that was handed out by the government? See, so there was an opportunity there that we could take advantage of and did. Did anybody take loans, not just take the grants? Okay, that's the same place I was. I was looking at it and I looked at it and thought the interest rate's so low, it should be worth doing. Then when I looked at all the hoops we had to jump through, it didn't make sense. Jeff Rose says he took a loan.
I took the loan.
And that's good. You know, whatever we had to do to get through.
I couldn't use the loan for what I wanted it for capital investment and for equipment or for, you know, paying to redo the website and things like that. I was very limited on what I could spend it on as an LLC. So I said, Liz, I would have all this money. I got to pay it back. And it really doesn't meet the need of what I want it to do for me. So I just opted not to do that. And at some point I'll pay back my portion of the PPP once they figure out what that is.
Right. And we're getting other people come in. 3 people took loans. One, Jeff's still waiting on the dollars. He got approved, but never got any dollars. So that's kind of a fiasco, I think, as well. As I'm sitting right now with looking at everything I did, one of the things I did when I started making money again was not buy the new Canon photography equipment, even though I'm entrenched in Sony, because I will pay off all my debt, put a bunch of money in the savings, be very frugal on my spending around the studio, just so that I can make sure I have something to carry me 2 or 3 months if we have to do that again. Luckily, I was in that spot before this happened, and I'm setting myself up for it again. And I hope that's something we're taking in mind. What I didn't do was hold back on marketing. I spent exactly the same amount of money on marketing as I always did, because I didn't want to risk losing clients because I wasn't sending out my mailer or wasn't doing the typical marketing things that I do.
Same with me. That's, I was fortunate I had the nest egg to get me through
Right.
a couple months of shutdown, and I have been watching my pennies, except for the marketing, to make sure that nest egg is built back up in case we get shut down again.
Exactly.
Great.
And I preach it too. If you cut back on marketing, you're cut back on your future. I mean, that's just what it is. And that we have to understand that that's part of our business.
So, and to the point too about the investment along the way, and if Pixel were closer, I'd be spending my money with you guys up there, TJ. But we've got a great local camera store in Columbus, and I've been making investments there, and I'm holding the Z6 Nikon. I'm not saying I make the switch. I've complemented my DSLR gear with the mirrorless. I made the investment of it, and frankly, it's for one thing. It's the eye detect focus. When I'm doing my headshots, I do not miss headshots anymore. The eye focus is a tremendous benefit, and it was worth making the investment to get a mirrorless body. And right now, I'm just reusing all my DSLR lenses, so I get to dip my toe in it. But I also supported a local camera store. So if you've got a local camera store in your market, whether it's World of Photography, Midwest, or a Pixel up in the Northeast area there, or wherever you're at, those guys are trying to stay in business too and trying to help us. Please make sure you spend your money with them first before you go to Amazon.
Well, hey, I don't see any more questions coming in. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you all for coming and joining us today. Thank you, Sarah, Mike, TJ, and Andrea to support this as well. I know I feel as a president of the PPO, I feel very excited about this event. I think next year it will be bigger and better. And whether it's virtual or not virtual, we'll wait and see. But I think it went very well, and I thank you all for taking part. Have a great day. Have a great weekend.
Thanks.
See you later, everybody. Take care.